Thank you for joining us at Toy Fair University. Next up, we have From Sustainability to Circularity, the next evolution into green toy design, with Malte Niebelschuetz from Shore Buddies.
And thank you so much, and welcome from my side to this afternoon. I hope you guys all having an amazing Toy Fair so far. And I'm going to be your entertainer for the next 20 minutes. So I know sustainability is a hefty topic, but I want this for you, A, to be valuable, and B, to be entertaining. Because we are in toys, when do we learn the best? When we're having fun. But quick show of hands, because circularity, some of you might be even, this is new topologic to me, right? What does it mean? So who here has never heard of circularity before? Don't be shy. Okay, so a little bit. And who here is a total expert and could explain circularity to their next seat neighbor right now? Okay, also, so we have a really mixed audience, right? So, and my goal is always not to be those presentations only be fun, but to be valuable for everyone. So my ambition today is, if you have never heard of circularity, you will go home with learning something new. And if you're a total expert, you get to it a little bit as well to your already existing knowledge. Sounds good? Let's get to it. So we have some work to do, and we have only 20 minutes. And here's our agenda. We're going to look at what circularity actually means. So defining the topic we're going to be talking about. Then we have to have a look at where we are in the toy industry right now. How do we actually produce things? What's happening? What is our supply chain? And then, from my perspective, why I think that most sustainable toys fail. Spoiler alert. Because we're using the same old system we've always been using and just stacking sustainability on top of it. But how do we fix it? Hitting the green button is a good start. But what needs to change in the system? So there's my presentation where I think the toy industry will go in the next decade or two. But also there's my disclaimer. I do not want to change one thing in the industry, because there's one thing we do amazingly well. And that's making kick-ass toys. We are in the toy industry to bring fun, to bring entertainment, to bring education in some parts. We have a lot of power, and that is what we're doing really well. So I do not want to change any of that and say we only can have sustainable toys anymore, whatever that means, right? No, we need to make the same exact exciting, fun toys that we've always been doing, and that's why half of the people are here and never get out of the industry again. And then I want to show you how we do that all in a sustainable way, meaning in a sustainable production way, but also in a sustainable financial way. So we have some work to do. But let me introduce myself first and why I am the reason to tell you that, why I think I'm the reason to tell you best about this, or why the Toy Association thinks I'm the right person to tell you about this. Because I've walked the talk, right? I know what it takes to start a sustainable toy brand, started Shore Buddies. We became famous for the first stuffed animal made of recycled plastic bottles. We were nominated for a Toady. We didn't win. Baby Yoda won. You just can't beat a Jedi. But I learned what it takes, right, to build a sustainable brand and what the limitations are when you scale globally. So I think most sustainable toys fail because not of a material issue, but because of a production issue. But let's first define what circularity is. Our current old production economy is the linear production. And this means we take, we create, and we throw it away. In a circular economy, we build a circle. We are reusing things, we are reproducing things, but we actually never create any waste. And it all starts with the design, right? Circular economy, if there's one thing you take away from this whole presentation today, is that circular economy starts with the design. Always and ever again, because it's a circle. So our goal is to create products that never become waste. And the way we do that, actually, in the best ultimate thing, this is for the experts who raised I can explain circularity to my next door neighbor. Circularity 2.0 is cradle to cradle. So in this scenario, we are not thinking about the humans as the enemy to the planet. Actually, our society is the chance. So how about we create products that not become waste, but nutrition for the planet, right? Think about fertilizer, because that's nature. And that's called cradle to cradle. It comes from the earth and eventually goes into back to the planet. And one thing about circularity, and especially cradle to cradle concept, is that you do not really own those things, right? Think about a replacement system. There are good examples. HP is actually doing that in the kindergarten furniture space. They are renting out the product and then they're replacing it. So what a beautiful scenario. So we need, as a toy industry, need to look at other industries because they're already doing it. But where we are today, so this is literally where the toy industry stands today. Well, 2025, that's the numbers. But besides all the amazing hubs, right? And there are new amazing hubs coming out, Turkey, India, Vietnam, Mexico, of course. And local production is becoming a thing. But reality is 90% of all toys are still made in China. And I don't even want to go into the sustainable aspects of that or the cost aspects of that. I want to point out the risk that actually means, because if anything, we need to de-risk our current supply chain. In the toy industry, we traditionally do high quantity, low margins, right? This is how the big guys get rich. This is just one of the problems. We're having a huge dependency on one mass manufacturer. And to see how fragile that is, how can it impact consumer products? We had the tariff announcements last year. We had COVID a couple of years ago. That changed everything. But we also have port strikes. We have Panama Canal drought, right? If one of those links in the supply chain fails, the whole system comes to a grind halt. So if anything, what we need to do with a circular economy is we need to de-risk our supply chain first, because labor costs and geopolitical tensions are just on the rise, and that's the reality we're facing the next decade or two. And now let's add sustainability to that current system and why it doesn't work. Because all of the aspects we saw, not only are there risky links, if they fail, they're all cost factors. We have the labor costs, we have the shipping costs, we have all of those aspects that a toy has until it reaches the customer, until it reaches the kid. And now to this, I don't want to say broken system, because it does what it's supposed to do. It brings toys to the kids. But it's an imbalanced system. And now if we add sustainability on top of that, it's a cost factor. And this is why sustainability cannot compete, it cannot scale. Because when does sustainability actually work? If we do it at a compatible price point. And a compatible price point is the exact same freaking price point. And I've seen it firsthand. I was literally in a store, and you guys know all of that, right? You do our market research, you ask the customer, you send out surveys. Would you pay $1 more if it is sustainable? Everyone answers yes. Until they actually vote with their dollars. Because this is not an illusion. We're in consumerism times. And our power is what we spend our money on. We don't give up our voice just every 4 years, put it in an urn. Interesting if you think about that term. But every single day, we vote with our shopping receipts. That's our voice. So, and if sustainability is an extra cost for a lot of people, that falls through. And sustainability can be a lot of things, right? Is it a recycled material? Is it biodegradable? Is it a carbon offset? Is it a plastic offset? Is it a support for a nonprofit organization that is calculated into the product costs? Does it all make sense so far? Good. So let's look at it. How do we fix this? What's the next step? And I believe the next step is decentralized manufacturing. Because circularity only works if we keep the circle pretty small. There is no point of products that are produced in China that get shipped all the way to Uruguay, to Chile, to the US, and then need to be shipped back to be reproduced. It will not work. But if we think about small, micro toy factories that are fully automated, and address all of those tiny little weak links we have in our supply chain, we can literally make this work because it will come a competitive advantage. We can produce locally, fully automated, and really make circularity not an additional cost in terms of sustainability, but actually a competitive advantage. And the 5 steps how to become circular, this is when you get out your cell phones, take the pictures, because this is the important information. And well, why is it a circle? Well, first of all, it's kind of like the topic of the talk, so I wanted to keep that with this hint as well. And I cannot really tell you where to start, right? This is literally where you have the chance to start. It always starts with the design, yes, right? When you go into the next iteration of the circle. And KISS, who know what KISS means? Like some tech nerds here? Keep it simple, stupid, right? So like complexity kills everything. Complexity kills innovation, and most of all, complexity kills margins. The more complex you do anything, the more expensive it gets. But where to start? It could be anything. You have a new local manufacturing opportunity, or you have a return. Like, let's say you sold to Walmart and they never got your pallets out to the trade floor. It was in a distribution center, and now they require you to take it back because it was a Christmas program. True story, actually. It happened to a good friend of mine. What do you do with the product, right? Dispose it or get creative. Find a way how this can be your start into a circular economy. But this is the most important thing, because I've been talking a lot about systems here and how do we change all of that and how do we address that. I want this to be very, very clear, and I brought some products over here as well, right? Those are good examples of what needs to be done, because circularity, kids don't want to buy green toys. Parents don't want to buy green toys. They want the toys to be green, don't get me wrong, but what we are looking for when we purchase toys is fun, entertainment, education, something to play with, something to be entertained, right? And this always has to come first. We can make the most sustainable products, we can make the most sustainable toys. If they're boring, no one will buy them, right? So toys, the play value, the design, that always needs to come first. And I have a short little, yeah, we do have time. I have a short little anecdote for you that literally represents these pictures very well. A brand, maybe some of you here know it, Recycle Me, beautiful brand. They did everything right. They were educational because they were teaching the kids how to upcycle or recycle. It was an arts and crafts set. And it kind of came with all the materials. They were all sustainably sourced. And what you had to bring is a household item, like a plastic bottle or a toilet paper roll. And then you turned this with the craft set into a plane or a submarine, right? Beautiful concept, amazing brand, loved it. It didn't sell. It didn't sell because they also were so focused on the appearance of the brand, so it had to look all sustainable. So it had this boring brown paper bag kind of packaging, and it was literally rotting on the shelves because it didn't look exciting. And what do we want as buyers, as kids? We want excitement. We want fun. That's why we buy toys. A friend of mine took over the brand, and they changed one thing. Can you guess what it was? The packaging, exactly. They changed the packaging to bright, colorful boxes, and it flew off the shelves. The brand took off. They didn't change one other thing. They were doing so many things right. If you do one thing wrong or not good enough, you're toast. That's the reality of the toy industry. But let's get back to how circularity, again, another smartphone moment. And I'm just realizing it's my last slide, and it's the most boring one because it has mainly text on it. And here are the advantages, right? Because we can reach this new iteration of how we produce toys with lower unit costs. Circularity will allow us to really change the system that we're currently doing and currently seeing. We will have less working capital, right? One big market entry barrier for a lot of small companies is you have to build up this massive inventory stack. Because if we're all honest, with our products coming from China, everything less than a container, it's not really worth it, right? From a financial standpoint, from a unit cost perspective. So if you have to build up your massive inventory, instead of like producing smaller MOQs locally, you will have a massive cash flow advantage and you can have faster iterations, right? As an entrepreneur, I always say, if you don't hate the first version of your product, you're launching too late, right? Now, apply that, a product is never finished. You always have those faster iteration steps with local production. The margins will improve, they will not erode. This is a system change where we really go in there and not only de-risk it, the whole supply chain, but we're gonna be less dependent. That's the end of my presentation. I have a couple of products I brought here. I'm started Shore Buddies. I'm also working with a couple of sustainable brands that want to get the circularity round, looking for sustainable manufacturers that are doing there. So if that's something you guys are looking for, I'm going to be here in the couch area for questions and talks and ideas exchange afterwards. But I think we have time for a question or two from the audience. Kelsey, okay. And if anyone has a question, again, yeah.
Yeah, I feel you talked a little bit about how to make the packaging of the product more sellable, but how do you apply a good packaging into the circular economy as it's 90% of the time just directly into the trash once it's opened?
Oh, this works perfect. So the question was, how do we include circularity? How do we include circularity into the packaging, right? So like if we change that, and it really depends because recycling is, like paper, for example, is one of the most successful recycling stories, right? And a lot of countries, they recycle and they have that place for that. And I think that's a movement that has been happening by reducing the material mixture in the past by getting plastic, for example, out of the packaging. So a whole cardboard paper box, it's way easier to recycle, right? So the short answer to the packaging question in terms of circularity is it starts with the design. Right? You get out the material mix early on, so you have products that are easily upcyclable or reusable.
Thank you.
Hi. As I'm a product designer, what would you give as advice on how to start that design to be sustainable? Because sometimes as a designer, you don't have that authority to be like, hey, let's move and make this sustainable. What would your advice be on, as a designer, what you could do?
Right, and so the question is, what is the advice for a designer to think more about circularity already at the process when creating a new product or creating a new toy? And my answer is literally that one slide we have to start first, right? Like, don't over-engineer things, don't put it too much into complexity, and find ways where you can reduce material, right, in the process. Ask those questions early on. It's the design process. It's like, do I need 8 different types of plastic in this product? Can we do it with less, right, and still keep the same function? So it's kind of like, I forgot which brand that was, but in the past they had reduce to the max is kind of like the theme.
That's right.
Oh, okay. It was a scooter company. But we have a question back there.
Can you name a few of the small toy companies operating in the U.S. now that are manufacturing?
That are manufacturing. Yes, there are a few. I forgot the name of those, but they're making outdoor goods. They manufacture in Albany. They're right down here in front of the Lego, like we guys seen the Lego garden. So there's like an outdoor manufacturer. They manufacture in the U.S. There are a couple of others that are currently looking towards that. The tariffs really spiraled that up. And I'm happy to talk more. I'm going to be here in the couch section. My time is up. And thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.